In Sumy Oblast, 4 Ukrainian strikes were carried out on Russian positions in Zhuravka. We get this footage exclusively from Ukrainian secret sources. Please like the video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell.
And here, a Ukrainian drone spots a Russian self-propelled artillery installation Tulip, on which either an Alder or KMARS missile arrives. It is difficult to determine. And on this video clip, we see how ISV Bradley works on Russian positions under the cover of a smokescreen, destroying the enemy's manpower in the trenches, as well as armored vehicles and infantry sitting on it, with the help of his 25mm cannon. Incredibly spectacular footage. And here we see the landing of the Russian reconnaissance drone Zala, which was picked up by a Russian operator and carried to the headquarters from where the Ukrainian positions were being scouted, after which a single HIMARS missile struck the location of the Russian troops' headquarters. And in this video we see a Russian tank T-80, which rides on an asphalt road towards the Ukrainian positions without even noticing the multi-layered mine barrier ahead, on which it successfully exploded, detonating all the ammunition without reaching the Ukrainian trenches. Here we see how the operator of the Russian quadricopter picks up the drone that flew to him and goes inside the building, which is equipped as a headquarters, into which the Ukrainian attack drone with a volumetrically detonating munition has already flown, which after the impact burned everything inside, including computer equipment. In this footage, we see a Russian tank T driving across the field and fires with a machine gun, and explodes on a Ukrainian anti-tank mine. The crew most likely moved to the landing next to the tank. To evacuate them comes a second Russian tank T, which at the same place explodes on a mine. It tears off the track and skids to the side. As a result, the assault was repulsed, and here a drone strikes a Russian tank T-80. But this is not the most interesting. Just look at the size of the funnel from the bomb and compare it with the size of the tank. And on this footage we see a duel between Russian and Ukrainian tank, where Ukrainian tank T at point-blank range shoots Russian tank T, which most likely has damaged optics and cannot return fire on the Ukrainian tank. It took the Ukrainian tank about shots at point-blank range to completely destroy the Russian tank and the crew inside it. There was no powerful detonation, most likely due to the fact that the Russian tank was already out of ammunition. And here, 2 Russian IC-3s with paratroopers moved out to storm Ukrainian positions. But as always, one of them explodes on a mine, after which the infantry in horror jump out of the armor and scatter in different directions, waiting for Ukrainian FPV drones to finish them off. And this is an attack by airplane-type drones on a Russian strategic control radio station detected in the distant rear. The strikes were carried out by the Special Operations Service of Ukraine. The complex was completely destroyed, and here, by tradition, the first tank of the assaulting Russian column is blown up on an anti-tank mine, after which the column is covered with cluster 155mm ammunition, and on the armored vehicles dropped grenades from a drone, one of the tanks, and falls into a huge crater from the explosion of its own aerial bomb, where it is killed by skids from a drone. As a result of the assault, the entire column was stopped and destroyed. And here we see a super rare radio localization station of the Russians, on which Ukrainian missile forces fired first one HIMARS missile, then a second, third, fourth, and fifth to destroy the object for sure. And on this footage, we can see how the Ukrainian tank T is firing at the Russian infantry in the trenches, then turns around and leaves, followed by a Ukrainian BMP, which forces the Russian infantry to flee using heavy machine gun. In parallel with this unloading the Ukrainian paratroopers who are firing at the Russian trenches with small arms and RPGs with fragmentation fugitive ammunition. This footage is an example of an extremely well-planned assault that ended in success. And here we see the newest Russian tank T-90 breakthrough, which the Ukrainian troops call T-90 subversion. And now you will understand why so. After one drone flight, the tank detonates with all the ammunition. An incredible and mesmerizing spectacle. And here we see a Russian tank T-80 driving along the forest road. Suddenly from the bushes jumps out of the Ukrainian military with RPG. One shot did not stop the tank. Then comes out the second military, and also fired with RPG on the tank. after which the tank shoots off smoke grenades, trying to get out of the line of fire, but immediately catch another shot with RPG, after which the turret of the tank most likely jammed. But most of the shots came to the dynamic protection. And here we see the location of the Russian operator of the anti-tank complex Igla after the military man goes into his hideout to him, immediately flies out a Ukrainian attack FPV drone with an enlarged warhead. Flying right inside the drone eliminated the operator and saved more than one unit of Ukrainian armored vehicles. And this footage is unique. It shows a Ukrainian armored vehicle under the blows of MLS's BM Grad trying to get into the half-encircled town of Chas Yar to deliver ammunition and pick up wounded soldiers of the Ukrainian Defense Army. And here we see two Russian howitzers MSTS, which are in combat positions, hiding in a forest belt. Suddenly, one of them is hit by a shell from HIMARS. A few seconds later, the second one is hit by a Gimalair's missile. This is a clear example of how well counter-battery warfare works in Ukraine. Crazy footage from a drone that spotted 3 Russian-grade multiple rocket launchers was immediately struck by a high-precision missile from HIMARS, after which the entire ammunition detonated and the grade began shelling its own positions, firing missiles in different directions. And on this video, unsuspecting Russian tank is driving along the forest without even realizing that it has already been noticed by Ukrainian reconnaissance drone Shark, which weighs 30 kilometers from the front line and sees everything that happens on the ground. So the Ukrainian FPV drone immediately flew after the tank. But the tank apparently had a strong system of radio electronic interference, so the picture from the drone was extremely poor quality. But this did not prevent the drone still hit the tank. In this footage we see a Russian BM-21 Grad multiple launch rocket system hidden in the landing, and a HIMARS munition flies at it, causing a huge detonation of the ammunition.
Subsequently, the Ukrainian infantry assault group disembarks and begins clearing the trenches using various weapons, including grenades. Moments later, the task is accomplished, and another Bradley arrives, delivering additional troops and evacuating a wounded soldier. Russian military bloggers later acknowledged that the outcome of this counterattack was successful, with the Ukrainians recapturing the positions in the tree line. The failure of this Russian effort pushed their commanders to again attempt a direct assault against Kostiantynivka. The next scene in the clip reveals the rapid escalation of the situation as we see the smoking remains of 6 or 7 Russian armored vehicles in flames, all struck and destroyed in the same area, effectively turning it into a death zone. Several other huge explosions can be seen in the video, showcasing how effective the Ukrainian defense is at rebuffing this new Russian endeavor. Ukrainians then decided to maintain their proactive campaign to prevent the Russians from amassing large forces by targeting their positions, hideouts, personnel, and vehicles. Soldiers from the Ukrainian 79th Air Assault Brigade published videos showcasing their engagements with various enemy targets in the area. The first video highlights the skillful work of their FPV drone operators, who are seen hunting Russian troops in open fields and among the ruins of Paraskovivka. The small village, offering almost no cover due to the intense fighting, became a focal point for Ukrainian attacks. To eliminate any potential threats, the Ukrainians opted to demolish several remaining larger buildings with guided air bombs after detecting Russian presence and activity in and around them. These powerful strikes by the Ukrainian forces once again sabotaged the already exhausted Russian troops in the region, effectively preventing them from continuing their attempts to advance westward. As you can remember, most of the previous attacks in this direction happened north of the small lake that divides the village from the small settlement of Paraskovivka. This time, however, the Russians chose to strike from the south side of the lake. A geolocated video from the area shows one Russian armored fighting vehicle attempting to cross the field using a similar approach to the earlier Ukrainian attack. Although the vehicle manages to advance slightly, it soon hits a mine and explodes, prompting the surviving crew members to abandon the remnants and seek cover. Minutes later, a second vehicle is destroyed by Ukrainian defenders using an anti-tank guided missile, and it is subsequently finished off with a kamikaze drone.